An electoral college is a set of electors who are selected to elect a candidate to particular offices. Often these represent different organizations, political parties or entities, with each organization, political party or entity represented by a particular number of electors or with votes weighted in a particular way. Early Germanic law stated that the German king led only with the support of his nobles. Thus, Pelagius needed to be elected by his Visigothic nobles before becoming king of Asturias. And so did Pepin the Short by Frankish nobles in order to become the first Carolingian king. While most other Germanic nations had developed a strictly hereditary system by the end of the first millennium, the Holy Roman Empire did not. And the king of the Romans, who would become, by papal coronation, Holy Roman Emperor or at least Emperor-elect, was elected by the College of Prince-Electors from the late Middle Ages until 1806. In the Church, both the clergy and laity elected the bishop or presiding presbyter. However, for various reasons, such as a desire to reduce the influence of the state or the laity in ecclesiastical matters, electoral power became restricted to the clergy and, in the case of the Church in the West, exclusively to a college of the canons of the Cathedral Church. In the Pope's case, the system of people and clergy was eventually replaced by a college of the important clergy of Rome, which eventually became known as the College of Cardinals. Since 1059, it has had exclusive authority over papal selection. In the 19th century and beyond, it was usual in many countries that voters did not directly vote the members of parliament. In Prussia, for example, in 1849 to 1918 the voters were Urwahler, appointing with their voter Wahlmann. The group of electors in a district elected the deputy for the Prussian House of Representatives. Such indirect suffrage was a means to steer the voting, to make sure that the electors were able persons. For electors, the requirements were usually higher than for the original voters. The left-wing opposition was very much opposed to indirect suffrage. Even today in the Netherlands, the deputies of the First Chamber are elected by the provincial parliaments. Those provincial parliaments form the many electoral colleges for the First Chamber elections. The lists of candidates are national. Countries with complex regional electorates may elect a head of state by means of an electoral college rather than a direct popular election. In the sovereign Holy See, with the Vatican City as sovereign territory, the members of the College of Cardinals under the age of 80 elect the Pope in a papal conclave. The United States Electoral College is an example of a system in which an executive president is indirectly elected, with electors representing the 50 states and the federal district. The votes of the public determine electors, who formally choose the president through the Electoral College. Each state has a number of electors equal to its congressional representation, with the non-state District of Columbia receiving the number it would have if it were a state, but in no case more than that of the least populous state. Under this system, the electors generally cast their votes for the winner of the popular vote in their respective states. However, there are several states where this is not required by law. In the United States, 270 electoral votes of the 538 electors are currently required to win the presidential election. There are 5 ways Electoral College representatives are chosen: presidential nomination appointment, party nominee by appointment, gubernatorial appointments, state chair appointments, and hybrid methods for the elector selection. State laws requiring electors to vote as directed are the subject of ongoing legal controversy. In 2020, the United States Supreme Court decided that, in Chiafalo v. Washington, those electors may be punished by law if they do not vote as directed. In France, an electoral college is particularly formed by the grands electors consisting of local elected representatives. Since the beginning of the French Fifth Republic, these grands electors are responsible for electing the senators. Prior to the 1962 French presidential election referendum, the president of the French Republic was elected indirectly by these grands electors. Prior to the adoption of the French Constitution of 1958, the President of France was elected by the French Parliament. Colleges of electors play a role in elections in other countries, albeit with electors allocated in ways differing from the United States. In Germany, the members of the federal parliament together with an equal number of people elected from the state parliaments constitute the Federal Convention. that exists for the only purpose of electing the head of state is elected by the members of both houses of parliament in joint session, together with delegates elected by the regional co.